Hello, everyone. I decided to try a new paint by numbers project. I loved the first one I did so much that I tried another one and was not very taken with that one. However, there was this site that's been repeatedly advertised on my Facebook feed, and I thought, okay, let's give it a try because I really liked some of the paintings that they were showing. Now, of course, it's never going to look like it does in the painting. And I was a little hesitant, especially to buy. It was a buy two, get one free, but I thought, okay, one for me and one for each of my daughters. And so this one is the surprise for my oldest. She doesn't know that she's getting this, and she's not getting it until December when her birthday is. But I thought I'd start on it now, and that way it has time to dry and set, and then I can take it and get it framed. So it's a site called Craftoria, and I'll try to remember to put the uh, link down below. No guarantees. I'm terrible at remembering things. And I was a little hesitant at first because this is a field of daisies. And I thought, oh, that's a lot of white to be putting down. And the thing that I didn't like about the first two sets was that the paint was not very opaque, meaning it wasn't very thick and you could kind of see the numbers underneath. I was really pleasantly surprised by this paint set. This painting has like 6 different shades of white. I didn't even know that you could get 6 different shades of white, but apparently you can. And each of them, the numbers were actually beautifully covered. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. So I highly recommend this Craftoria. Um, my set is going to be a field of sunflowers. Sunflowers are my favorite. And my youngest is she's a little more, she wants a haunted house. So basically, I'll be doing a haunted house for her for Christmas. So, anyways, I wanted to talk today a little bit about why I started my channel. Um, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, especially as I've actually been getting subscribers. Welcome to my new subscribers. I really honestly never thought that I would get any subscribers except for people that maybe I told about this. And I really haven't told anyone except for maybe a couple of coworkers that I have started this channel. And the reason I did that, oh, you'll see a lot of my hair in this, trying to get up into some of those teeny tiny little places and seeing which number. You'll be seeing a lot of my hair. I apologize. I did comb it sometimes, just so you know. But anyways, I didn't tell my friends because this wasn't about me starting up a channel and trying to get subscribers and you know making it big or anything like that. So part of my therapy is doing artistic things. I love doing artistic things, crafty things, and I love making something beautiful as I get out all of the yucky stuff that I have been remembering. It's nice to replace it with something beautiful. And the second thing is, I love to give away the things that I make. I have never been good at selling things. Everybody's like, "Oh, you should sell this, you should market this, you should do this." And the thing is I feel guilty. I always feel guilty being like, "Oh, buy my stuff," when the truth is I get so much more out of it by simply giving it away. So don't be surprised if during one of my projects I decide to start giving things away. It's just who I am and who I love to be. Um, And so that's really honestly the only reason that I started this channel. It really was just to keep myself honest, to make sure that I am doing something crafty or artistic or just making something beautiful at least once a week. My life has been so full of yucky stuff the last probably 4 years as I have been remembering the abuse and the occult things that have been going on. I really hope that this did not just cut into a black screen. There is something, I tell you guys, there is something about this website that I have paid for the extra space for up to a year. And when that year is up, I am finding something new. So if you know of um, any good, oh my gosh, my mind just totally went blank. If you know of any good websites that allow you to editing websites, please let me know because this is getting ridiculous. In any case, I'm just going to let this play while I talk. I began to remember the abuse, oh, well over 12 years ago. But it got really bad about 4 years ago, and that's when I began seeing a therapist. And over time, we have been going through and trying to get these memories out. She gave me two different options. One was to repress everything still and try to get these memories to stop, and the other was to get them out. Now, I've never been one to take the easy route. Sometimes I wish I had, but the truth is that my body couldn't handle having these memories in them anymore. They say that the skin is the last defense, and my skin over the last 20 something years has, everybody calls it eczema, the doctors call it eczema, and it is eczema, but it's memory and emotion induced eczema, meaning I my skin flares up in areas where memories are coming. And so I wanted to get this out because I wanted my skin to have a chance to heal. I wanted myself to have a chance to heal. I hated myself, and I couldn't tell you why. I'm a good person. I try to do my best in everything that I do. But there was just this lingering thought that I don't deserve any good things in life. And so when the abuse memories began to come out, I began to realize why I felt that way. So we began the process, and through it didn't take very long before we began to realize that not only um, did I have the depression, the anxiety that comes along with all of this repression, but that I had different personalities that had developed because of the occult. Um, I know some people well, I don't know them personally, but I know of people that have, like so many personalities. I guess I can consider myself fortunate that I only had 8 others. Um, but it was terrifying. It was terrifying to figure out that this was going on. Now, there was no indication, well, there were indications beforehand, but I don't disassociate when my personalities come forward. And so I just thought sometimes I was extra playful, extra young at heart. Then there were other times that I would just, it was like something snapped in my head and I would get so angry, especially frustrated with my kids sometimes. And I hated that about myself because I'm not an angry person. And so the fact that this thing inside of me used to just like rear its ugly head, it just made me so frustrated. But then I began to realize, once we began to figure out that I had different personalities, that uh, um, that it was another personality that was doing that. Now, I don't take this lightly. I hope you know that I don't take this lightly, but I am sharing it because I know that there are others out there that have gone through the same thing. I Oh goodness. I hadn't planned on going into this much detail. So, um, let's see. My main personality was a little girl. Her name was Sarah. She named herself Sarah. And she was the bulk, she held the bulk of the memories. Um, and so, as she began to come forward more and more and trust both me and my counselor more and more, she was able to go into a lot of these memories, and it was exhausting because the memories were almost like brand new. It was like it was happening again in that moment. I would re-experience them, and it was a surreal experience because in my mind, like, just Laurie didn't remember these things. I would have indications of something happening, but I also have a very vivid imagination, always have, and so I thought it was just my imagination, and yet it was a horrible imagination, because who wants to think about abuse happening? And so when I began to realize that this was real and that Sarah was actually trying to hand over some of these memories so that we could get them out, um, I began to take it a lot more seriously. I began to journal everything. Like I said, it really was exhausting. There were days when I would finish with my therapy and I would have to sleep for a good 2 or 3 hours afterward to just try to begin to recover. And then the next several days, I was just in a daze. I could hardly function. And luckily, my kids are older. And so it wasn't like I still had to take care of little kids. Instead, they kind of took care of me and try to take, things off my load, like washing dishes or preparing dinner or making sure laundry got done, that sort of thing. And so um, it was an interesting time. It was an exhausting time. Um, Sarah was the main one that came out and talked. I do what's called co-fronting, meaning that I am aware the entire time of what's being said, but it's kind of like I get pushed to the back. And so these other personalities would talk. Not all of them, I should say. Not all of them would talk. I still have two or three that are still around. Most of mine have moved on. Um, and I'm not going to go too much into that just because it's a very sacred experience for me. But most of them have moved on, and I don't really feel them as a part of me anymore. They are just, in a phrase, they are with the Savior. So, um, so it was hard. It was hard on my family, especially because there's nothing you can really do. They kept looking at me like, "What can I do? What can I do, honey? What can I do, mom?" And I literally was just like, "There's nothing you can do. This is something that I have to go through." And I didn't want them to know what I was remembering. I didn't want that kind of evil to be brought into their lives. But I began to realize, and my counselor helped me realize, that I was separating them from me. And this could have very well ended badly in my marriage if I had kept it up, because he had no idea the depth of what I was remembering. He just knew that things were bad. He thought it was going to be done and over with in a couple of months and that I would be okay and I would be back to my normal self. And that's certainly what I hoped for, but it's definitely not what was happening. So there was one day when he was just, I don't want to say he was well, he was frustrated with me because, well, I don't even remember why, but we ended up calling my counselor, who I felt so bad. She was on vacation, but we called her so that he could express some of what he was feeling. And it was in that moment she helped me realize that I needed to let him know what I was remembering so that he could understand the depth of the abuse and the mind control that they held over me. Um, and he turned from being a support to my rock. He um, I was definitely told by the Spirit not to let my mom know. She had other goals and things that she needed to concentrate on at the time. And especially as she was preparing to go on what we call a mission. And she um, she just needed to be able to concentrate on that. And so he just kind of became my champion, with especially when it came to my mom, who also didn't know and understand exactly what was going on. And so I began to realize that if I wanted my marriage to last, um, if I wanted him to know and understand what was going on, then I needed to be very open about what I was remembering. And I hated it because he would get so angry for me, and I didn't want anger. Um, Anger is so the antithesis of who I am as a person, that, and I had had enough of that in the things that I was remembering, that I didn't necessarily want him to be angry, but I realized that he needed to be angry, um, because of what had happened to me, and the way that it had not just affected my life back then, but was now affecting my life here and now. I, um, oh, you guys, I don't even have any of this written down, so I really am just going off the cuff. I hope it's making sense. And so after that, he became my champion, and we've become so much closer because of it. There are times when you can tell he's just ready for it to be done. Just as I am, he's just ready for the memories to be done, and for the most part, they are. There is one last personality who is just stubbornly hanging on to memories, and I'm not quite sure why, but he's also my anger center, the disciplinarian. Each of these personalities took on a role, and he is my anger center. And so I think that's partly why he holds on to the memory so hard, because he knows just how much I don't like to be angry. And so he just kind of hangs on to him. Um, and there are days when I'm like, bring it on. I can handle it. I can take it. And then there are other days when I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can go through another round of this. It's exhausting. It's really, really hard. And it affects me not only here at home, but at work. There have been days when I have gone to work and I just am an absolute wreck. And when I'm in customer service, I can't exactly be a wreck. I need to be able to be there for the customers and for my coworkers. So, anyways, one of the hardest things, well, I won't say one of the hardest things, but the hardest thing that I am going through right now is not being who I used to be. I used to be very trusting. Before all of this started coming out, I used to be a go-getter. I would, take on a challenge and um, go head first and really accomplish an awful lot of things. I would go out and visit people, especially with my husband in his jobs within our church. He does a lot of visiting, and I can't do that anymore. The thought of going into other people's homes terrifies me. And I couldn't tell you why. Well, I mean, I can because of what's happened to me, but at the same time, it's difficult as an adult to know, these people they love me. These are safe places I'm going into, and yet I still can't make myself go in. It's a miracle, honestly, that I can get myself to go to work and go grocery shopping after all that I have remembered and all that I have been through, kind of twice. We did eventually locate the neighbor that started this entire thing, or at least that started the abuse, and who first involved me in the occult. Um, and we took care of things. Unfortunately, I can't take care of things in a police way, simply because, well, first of all, I'm not ready. And there's just no evidence. There's no evidence against him, against it. It happened so long ago. I don't know if I'll ever get to that point, but we did take care of things through our church organizations. which I found out he's not even going to church anymore. Not exactly shocking to me. Um, but that actually did make me feel better to know that at least he knows now that I remember. Um, I hope that strikes a little bit of fear in his heart. I don't wish him evil. I just wish him justice, if that makes sense. I'm not looking for vengeance or revenge. I just I remember the first thing that I was told by the Spirit, and I hope that if it bothers you guys that I talk about the Spirit, you don't have to listen to this. Um, but I know that Heavenly Father is the one that told me to first start this channel. And so I want to do him right by doing what he is guiding me to do. And one of the first things that he told me by the Spirit when I began to remember was that what this man, his name was Joe, what he did to me was nothing compared to what his dad used to do to him. And it's so true that the abused typically are the ones that become the abusers. There is a moment in life where you have a choice to make, and you can choose whether or not to continue the abuse or to let it go and become someone better. And he couldn't do that. He couldn't become someone better, and that breaks my heart because he was a child when all of this started. With him, he had almost no chance whatsoever to become a good person. He did have a chance, don't get me wrong. I fully recognize that. But there are days when I recognize that if I hadn't forgotten everything that had happened, that I might not be the person that I am. Well, I would not be the person that I am today. I fully, fully recognize that. Um, Allowing me to forget was a gift. It really honestly was. It was a gift. Oh, I feel like I have just purged something huge, and I hope that I didn't bring you down. I want you to know that I am in many ways stronger because of all of this, because of all the remembering, the getting it out. In other ways, I feel less resilient. I don't know for another word off the top of my head. I don't feel like I am the same person, and I guess I shouldn't be. After everything that I have remembered, I shouldn't be the same person. I have grown in so many ways. Um, oh, there is a nice shot of my head. Look at that. That is beautiful. Good job, Laurie. There are days when like I said, there are days when I regret um, putting myself through all of this because I think of myself as stronger before it all happened, but the truth is I have so much more compassion now. Um, I understand why people are the way they are a little bit more when it comes to PTSD, to anxiety and depression. I mean, I seriously, I forgot my meds the other day, and I couldn't stop crying. It was ridiculous, and I say ridiculous is in like not me being ridiculous, just the circumstance. Like one day of not having my meds, and I was a complete and total wreck. And so it's like I understand a little bit more how someone can just be in their rooms numb. I understand now why they can be crying and not be able to stop. I understand that so much better now. How life just takes a toll, and it doesn't necessarily have to be because of abuse, it can just be because of circumstances of life. Um, in any case, I want to end this on a happier note. Um, I, oh, wow, how do I even, where do I go from here? Like I said, I didn't have this scripted or anything. And so, other things that I have learned is that our Savior is there for us in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. Um, I will share this one thing. There was a moment when I almost lost my life because of the hands of another person. And during that moment, I got to sit in the arms of our Savior, and He gave me a choice. I could stay with Him, the abuse would end, or I could go back to my family. I was just a little girl when this happened. That was a really big decision to make, and something that I don't know that I fully understood when I was little. And yet I am so glad that I chose to come back to my family, because all I could think about was my mom and my dad and my two brothers that I was there to protect. Now, had I died, the abuse may have ended for a lot of people. The entire thing, the cult and everything, it was just a couple years after that um, it dissolved, due to circumstances that I won't go into here. Um, and so he told me that it wouldn't be very long. I thought about my children that I wanted to have one day, because I loved my baby brother so much, and I wanted little babies of my own. And I said to Jesus, I said, how can I have children after all that I had been through? And He said, I will help you forget. And He did. He helped me to forget, and because of that, I have 4 beautiful children. And I have a husband who loves me so much and that I just absolutely adore. My life is not perfect, but it is good. And I am so grateful for that. So, I am just going to put on a little bit of music to end this out. I hope that you all can make today a beautiful day, because I believe that we have so much more choice in how our days go than we believe. So make today a beautiful day. Thanks. I love you guys.